Rupert Spira, great teacher, emphasizes a lot in his teachings and in interviews that enlightenment is available for anybody under any circumstances in any place in life. He points out the misconception that enlightenment is something that's super far away. He says, no, India is far away. Enlightenment is not. And I think the reason of that tangling of descriptors of India and enlightenment is because of two of the biggest enlightenment teachers of the 20th century being Sri Ramana Maharshi and Nisargadatta Maharaj, both Indian teachers. But it's funny that such a, botched perspective on enlightenment could come because of them, not their fault or their responsibility, but just because of their prominence, because their teachings are among the most pure that you can possibly find. That's what really separates, I've said this before, the really high-tier teachers is that they get down to pure details and characteristics. And it has a lot less to do with a lot of enchanting mysticism. Now, I love listening to my enchanting mysticism sometimes too, but the most practical for teaching you is the pure basic concepts. And that's exactly what they taught. And yet, because they were Indian, there's this there's this conflation of enlightenment must be far off out there somewhere. I must have to be like this different culture. I must adopt aspects of them that they probably just happen to have as part of them because of their haphazard upbringing. But guess what? We all have a haphazard upbringing. And so if we become awakened and start talking about it, we are going to have those characteristics still. We don't suddenly change to be exactly like Maharshi or Maharaj. Yeah, there is something about just, the foreign flair of a lot of teachers that just makes it seem like we're latching on for descriptors of enlightenment, so we just attach what we see among these teachers from other countries to enlightenment. I remember seeing this YouTuber. I found him charming, if maybe a little bit silly. He was a self-help teacher who just talked about, in my opinion, sort of bare basic concepts of personal development and spirituality and stuff. He seemed like he was in his early 20s, so he didn't exactly have the years to give credence to his wisdom, But he had some European accent that I don't know what it was, but he seemed to be doing okay for himself. Not one of the biggest YouTubers ever, but I had a baseline of some videos with a few 100,000 views, and he carried himself with the wise master kind of demeanor. I would assume probably a little bit put upon. And from what I can tell, he doesn't make videos anymore. But I'm like, dude, you had a whole career ahead of you. You literally, because of your accent, you did not necessarily need to ever come up with anything of like any sort of major substance. You just had to say a bunch of sort of rote, bare basic concepts for the rest of your life, and you could have had a whole career out of it. Anyway, that's a bit of a detour. It's not about him personally. It's just, if anything, it's about me and us silly Americans. We think that enlightenment must be somewhere far off. When really, and this is also something Rupert Spira talks about, it's all just about reconnecting with your own presence, which is quite literally available to you at any given time. At any given time, you have presence. Even when you're not noticing your own presence, it is there. It is always available to you. And I'll say also, I think maybe one of the misconceptions, and one of the reasons why it seems like enlightened people always have to come from a different country, is because there are all these ancient Enlightenment sages with all this timeless wisdom that we still love to this day, and its great teachings and stuff. And that's partly because the United States as a country is only a few hundred years old. So obviously those ancient sages had to come from another country. But I think subconsciously we do start to say, so it must be related to other countries. Enlightenment, spirituality, non-duality, and all the like. But any and all people can have profound awakenings and get to, there's no objective quantifying of people's enlightenment after a certain point, but you can get to the levels of the highest sages from Asia, India, anywhere in Europe. Even just being a silly American. That's one of my biggest insecurities, is the fear of showing my modern American-ness in these videos. I don't want to let slip too many SpongeBob references with how religiously I used to watch that show, but there's timeless wisdom in SpongeBob. But that's just one example. Yeah, even fully knowing that enlightenment is not far off, I still feel the need to suppress my American-ness, because I worry that it will invalidate my points somehow. But I'm just Joe, with Joe's demeanors and Joe's manner of speech. And anybody watching, you're just you with all those characteristics, and a lot of those characteristics will still carry over with you, no matter what awakenings that you've had. No matter which ones you have in the future. And any amount that I start to seem like any sage that you've seen before, if you keep watching me over the years, it won't be because I'm actively trying to just mimic that sagely demeanor. It will be a genuine, authentic change in me that I'll just have to wait and see. I mean, that's the big thing, is that I don't know. I've only had my, what I consider my big awakenings in the last few years, and so I don't know in exactly what ways I might change going forward. I'm still in kind of an integration phase of going about living my day-to-day. But the point is, also, I am going about and living my day-to-day, and I'm not going to live off in a cave in the Himalayas somewhere, post-Enlightenment. I'm working an American job, a full-time job, and I still watch movies that are made by American directors, and occasionally watch a TV show, occasionally play some video games. There is absolutely no criteria of how you act post-Enlightenment. But I will say that I do like keeping my talks as pure and universally applicable as possible. But yeah, any amount of trying to lean into some image of somebody that you've seen before that seemed really wise and spiritual, that only takes you away from your own direct experiences. It's about getting in touch with your true self. And even letting the small self, the ego, this little dream figure here, be exactly as it is at any given time. But I don't know. Maybe I will go join some Zen monastery overseas just to come back with the credentials, because maybe other people will take me more seriously, or even better than that, maybe I will take myself more seriously. He said right after he just spit at the camera.